To you all, as we get everyone up together here with us. Let me just let's see here. We gotta make a okay. Good morning. Hey, listen. This morning we have some fantastic news. And when I say fantastic, obviously for a few of you, it's not going to be fantastic news at all. But it's still fantastic, as in fantastical. So you can take it either way you like. Welcome to our morning show. And again, we're getting the network together. We're getting the broadcasting, scheduling, greased through the pipeline, as you will. And from time to time, I'll be putting in new content or going live, as you see me do right now. This is the morning of Friday, December 4th. And so it's 9:16 right now in the morning here on the East Coast. And so we're going to interject from time to time during our regular broadcasts, and especially in January 2021 and beyond. We will be mixing up live content with our regular TV type of broadcasting pattern that we're trying to establish. So that's what we're developing right now. And so that will afford me also to do bilingual channels, or do a channel in Spanish, for example, where, I can do a live show here where the Spanish channels are playing some Spanish content, and then when I'm finished with the live broadcast here in English, I can do an interjection on the Spanish network and do some Spanish programming there live as well. So that's basically planning out how we're going to develop the 2021 backdrop here in the way we're going to work, the modus operandi. Well, this morning we're doing a news cast right now, and this morning's news is quite alarming. The election is invalid, folks. Like it or not, the election is indeed invalid. Let me get the chat rooms going. I want to hear your comments. I want to see your comments. If you're on Facebook, I can see your comments, but I can't answer you right away. So don't get upset. Some people get upset when I don't respond and say, "What's wrong with this guy? He doesn't respond to me." It's just that the system we're using to monitor the chat rooms doesn't allow me to respond. I think it's a Facebook thing more than the other system. But in either case, it doesn't allow me to respond to you on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, understand that I will not be able to respond to you right away. I will get to it. You have to hold on and check back a little later and respond to you. Sometimes I do remember to open up the chat room. Let me just adjust the cameras over here a little bit, and so that we can get a better view when I'm sitting up like I'm doing now. But of course, I'm going to go back, right? All right. So this morning we have video. There's a lot of people out there. Listen, guys, let me tell to you straight and forward. Stop the silliness. Stop being silly. I really, this is getting tiresome already, you guys. Regardless of your party affiliation and whatnot, listen, we have to be Americans first. Americans first. Okay? Think about America. Think about the Constitution. Think about the way things are supposed to be. And this is what we're talking about right now. And this is what's at risk. When you have a fraud in an election for the President of the United States, I don't care, you don't like Donald Trump, you know what? It doesn't matter what you like or what you don't like. We have an election process. The people choose. But, cheating should never be allowed. Cheating is not part of the formula here, folks. It's something that's dishonest. The other day, I saw someone posting online and saying that we should have never elected Trump, giving Trump the honor of being president of the United States. I said, look at this garbage that you guys are talking. You actually believe that Donald Trump shouldn't have gotten the honor to be president of the United States? Listen, let me give you some news here on the morning news show. Every one of us, each one of us, like in American-born citizens, each one of us has the right to run for and be elected president of these United States. Okay? Stop this imagination of a God throne in the White House. It isn't. It's a people throne. It belongs to the people. For people that want power, you join the military and become the head of chiefs. Okay? And then you have maximum power. You understand? Again, the Constitution puts the final authority in the hands of you and me. And if we run for president, we have that final authority. Okay? That's how it works. Simple people, human beings, American citizens born in the USA. That is the requirement, not some other fantastical conditioning or status. Why is it that we can only have a politician as president of the United States? Whoever told you that was a requirement? Why do you have that as a standard or as a requirement? The only requirement is that you be 35 years or older and that you be born in the United States, citizen. That's the only requirement for the White House to be the president of the United States. You guys are so stupid. It's just tremendous how you guys allow yourself to be duped, deceived. That's deception. Where now, if I'm a regular American citizen, now, I can't be president of the United States? Why not? It's a ridiculous notion that Trump couldn't be or was not qualified to be president of the United States. Here he is, 4 years later, after you guys all tried to knock him down, tried to impeach his butt out of the White House and couldn't. The idiot still survived. All you smart folks out there, and we have not gotten into any wars. The idiot prevented the United States from getting into war. Matter of fact, made Korea docile, something that all your other honorable presidents couldn't do. Your honorable presidents couldn't do that, could they? Oh, but they had, we gave them the honor to be the president. They deserved the honor. They're like Biden, right? But while Biden was vice president with Obama, they couldn't keep us out of trouble. So they get the honor, And Trump, who has kept us out of war and has stood up to Korea and made them, be quiet for these 4 years, sit down and stay quiet. You're telling me that he doesn't deserve the honor? You guys are so un-American, because now you're dealing, the ones who don't deserve the honor to even be called American is anyone who feels that way. You're denying an American citizen the right to be the President of the United States. Hogwash. That's un-American. You don't deserve the honor to be an American. So take off that label. Burn it with the flag that you want to burn. And burn it and tear it down with the statue you want to tear down. It's all this silliness. Complete and total silliness. You guys are allowing yourselves to be overtaken and overrun by communists. You are being puppets to the Communist Party, and you don't even realize this. Do you know that your party is secretly being taken over by communists and socialists? Did you realize that? Do you? And a lot of you Christians are also falsely you're being misled. You're being misled. And listen. For goodness sakes, listen. Use your brain. You're being taken over and you're being used. You're being manipulated. I did the shows before, the videos, showing how the Democrat Party is totally against the prescript of God. I showed you God's own words, how they're causing the church to sin. You guys that are supporting those candidates, you're promoting sinfulness. Sinfulness. They promote sinning. And you guys, every time you vote for a Democrat, I don't want to be political. I'm not trying to be political. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about a different thing altogether. I'm talking about you promoting and supporting people, forget that they're Democrat, people who promote the sinfulness in this nation. And by sinfulness, you look into Scripture, and you see what God says is sinful. You see that, and also knowing that not doing what God said as He said it is sin. You have to realize that. You have to think. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. You have to think. So when you look into the Scripture, Torah, right, Old Testament, a lot of you Christians, see, that was the first trick, was to get the Christians out of the Old Testament, divorce you from the Old Testament, and now you're in the New Testament church, and nothing that God said in the Old Testament matters anymore. See the trick? That's the trick. So they divorce you from that. It's the same thing that was done by the liberals here in the United States. Divorce people from the history and the prerogatives of the United States of America. Now the Constitution doesn't matter. What was stated back in 1776 doesn't matter, because now we're in 2020. But the things that were said in 1776 happened to be the Constitution, the thing that the United States stands on. And if you take away the thing you're standing on, what's going to happen? Do you actually think that this country will stay standing? Understand what they're doing. They are pulling the rug from under your feet if you consider yourself an American. So you have to understand that. That's how the flag is allowed to burn. The people say it's okay to burn the flag. Why? Because it's freedom of speech. Well, then can I get up and say fire in a crowded theater? It's freedom of speech. It's freedom of speech. No, you can't do that because you put other people's rights in danger and all of that. Okay, so listen. What guarantees you the right to free speech is the flag that you're burning. So if you burn the thing that gives you the right to free speech, why should you get the right to not get retaliated after you're free speaking? Absolutely, I will do a different show on that. It's ridiculous. If you denounce, because this is a precept. What I'm talking about is something that's really ancient, okay? But it's an established reality in the universe. When you negate your origin, you negate the thing that gives you the right, you don't longer have the right. You're saying by virtue of your act that you don't want the right because you're destroying the very thing that gave you the right. You understand? We have the right because there's an authority behind that right. There's something that defends that right. Yet you're burning and disrupting and destroying the very thing that's giving you the support. So it comes down. You don't have it. All right, but I didn't want to get into that. That's for another session. But for now, if we allow these elections to go on, if we allow the result, has nothing to do with, let me tell you something about Biden. I feel sorry for the man. Simply, I feel sorry for Biden. You know why? Because he doesn't deserve, just like Bernie Sanders didn't deserve, the treatment that the DNC gave him. The Democrats, twice, well, the first time was bad enough, was Hillary. The second time, he knew. But the first time, they really did a number on him. Right? And that was that they really propped up Hillary, and they craftily adjusted those powerful votes, right? Those superpower delegates towards Hillary. That's the pattern that the Democrats had, right? And the funny thing is that you Democrats don't say anything. You Democrats just sit there like you don't know what to do. What you do is that you stop voting Democrat. That's what you do. Simply. But you don't have the balls. You don't have the balls. Simple as that. Okay? So now the Democrats have learned, those that are in power, your masters, have learned that you don't say anything. You don't do anything. We can do whatever we want to do and you won't do anything. You don't say. We'll get away with it. And that's what they've been working on all this time. Now they got an election and they've been fraudulent, planning this. People in the Democrat Party, I'm not going to say the party did this. Wink, wink. I don't trust them, so I got freedom to say what I want to say. That's what I see. It just so happens, right? I don't see any of them protesting this. I don't hear them standing up and say, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. I don't see them. I don't hear them saying nothing. No, let it ride. Let it ride. Guilty. You're guilty. Un-American. That's an un-American activity, and this has to be investigated. The DOJ, FBI, whatever OJs, they're all out there. You need to investigate the DNC, investigate the Democrats, the candidates all the way down, investigate all this electoral crap that's been going on. The country is being lost by people, and this is really the main part, is people who don't do anything. People who just watch the news and just say, drinking their coffee. I just finished my coffee. And get on and do something. That's what's happening right now. And you should not allow this to go on. No American not just Republican, but that 30% of the Democrats that feel in their gut, and those of you that know in your gut that this election was cheated in, you all should get up and do something about it. Okay? You have to lend your voice. It has nothing to do with Trump, my dear friends. Because of Trump, you're going to allow your country to get lost. Remember this. You have to understand this. Okay? All you hate Trump for, realize that if you don't get up and do something now and say something and protest against this invalid election, you are actually allowing Trump to destroy you. The very thing that you are afraid of is going to happen because they're using Trump and this whole polity they have created around Trump to undermine the country. And you are pawns because you don't say anything. You're just part of the defense. And I see a lot of you guys defending this election, defending Biden. And listen, Biden, I consider a victim of this. He may be a politician with their hands in the treasury, meaning that they're making money, his family's making money. So he's a career politician. And whatever you can expect from career politicians, Biden would be. I wouldn't expect anything different, honestly. Okay? But I think Biden in this matter, he's a victim. He's a victim to his circumstances. Okay? He's a victim to his circumstances. He's tied, he is trapped to his circumstances unless he can gain back some of the spine that he used to have in his youth and stand up himself. If Biden is the true leader, truly presidential material, he should get up and concede. You know that? Concede. To stick it to the evil and deceptive Democrats who have ruined his reputation and ruined his electoral chances and marred his supposed potential presidency. That's what they've done. They screwed around with Bernie, and now they done Biden in. Even if he becomes president, his presidency will always be considered invalid. Invalid. You guys accuse Trump's presidency to be invalid. Now you're going to eat your words. You're going to eat your words because you will have an actual invalid president in the White House. If Biden is, the outcome is that Biden retains the notion that he is president-elect. Which he isn't. In all truth, if you see the video, let's go to the video. Let's go to the video and then tell me that there's no election fraud, okay? Let's look at this. Again, are they investigating? Who's investigating what? I'd like to know. Let's take a look at the video. And see, it would be here. Yeah, this is your fraud. This is your fraud on tape. So let's look at that. Let's see. Do I have that here? Let me make an addition here. I'm using a different studio instance. Okay, I got that down. I hope this works without any problems. But again, sometimes it isn't that easy. Let me get that here. Display capture. And let me just okay that. Okay. And again, I'm hoping that this works for you. And if it doesn't, we'll try again. Simple as that. Here it is. Listen up.
I about 8 o'clock in the morning, we're going to roll this back and show it to you. There you go. So now they're going to start pulling these ballots out from under this table. This table, the black one, was placed there by the lady with the blonde braids at about 8:22 a.m. in the morning. So she put that table there. So the same person who's staying behind now, the same person who cleared the place out under the pretense that we're going to stop counting, is the person who put the table there at 8:22 in the morning. Yeah, I see suitcases come out from underneath the table. Yeah, upper right hand, you see the gentleman in red. And you just pulled one out. So what are these ballots doing there, separate from all the other ballots? And why are they only counting them whenever the place is cleared out with no witnesses?
No witnesses. Yeah, that's the thing you have to look at.
These machines can process about $3,000 an hour. You have multiple machines there, and they're there for 2 hours. So you do the math. How many ballots went through those machines in those 2 hours when there was no one there to supervise, to be present, consistent with your statutes and rules, to supervise the tabulation? We believe that could easily be, and probably, certainly, beyond the margin of victory in this race.
That's it. You'll find that's on Reddit. That's on Reddit. You can see that video on Reddit. There's your Fred on video. And get a look at that as you've seen it here today. And tell me that there is no reason for anyone to question the results of this election. Tell me that there is not sufficient cause, okay, what is this? Is this a solitary instance? Are we supposed to sit here and imagine that, it was only when they made a single mistake? You really, come on now. You guys, you see, this is the same problem you guys have with the impeachment issue. Okay, that's why you couldn't win the impeachment issue. Because you consider the fantastical. Okay? And you don't look at realities. You don't even consider realities when it's the law. It's written down black and white. Like Trump didn't have any reason to be questioning another American's activities like in the Ukraine. That's ridiculous. It's garbage. It's part of his oath of office. He is the chief executive in charge of making sure that the laws of the United States are executed. And there's laws against bribery and foreign interference and money coming in from abroad to American citizens. As far as I heard, Biden is an American citizen. His son is an American citizen. All of these things are things that President Trump has to be involved with. Especially the fact that there's video where Biden admits, he says it. He admits to using his power to force the Ukraine into doing something which benefited, by the way, his son. And we're not going to say that he didn't know. He was younger then. Biden was younger then. Don't tell me he didn't know. Okay, that's again pulling wool over your eyes. Ridiculousness. Here you go. This morning, videos going out all over the place. The elections are fraudulent. There's so much testimony. And all of that is called evidence, by the way. You guys have to learn the law. That is evidence. But let me tell you also what is more evident. You have all these court cases that we have these judges. These judges are not considering the evidence because these testimonials are evidence. That is evidence. You can't say that there's no evidence. There is evidence. That somebody saw something. That's all you need, is that evidence for there to be a trial. In any other country, I don't know about the United States anymore, because apparently the minimum requirements for there to be a trial of the evidence and a search for fact is no longer applied. It doesn't apply any longer. Okay, so apparently that is no longer something in many judges' their courtrooms, which is disheartening. That's another issue. So begin to see, if you will, where the problems are. You see that we have election officials in certain areas that are allowing illegal activity either on purpose or by dementia. I think maybe the D in the DNC stands for dementia. Unfortunately, but you guys are giving a bad name to a sad situation that people go through, especially when they get older in life, you know? And that's a sad thing. It's a sad commentary. But you guys are demonstrating more dementia as we go along. First Biden, and now you guys who are not waking up to smell the coffee. You're not noticing this? They are allowing this illegal activity. It is illegal activity. What you saw in that video is illegal. That's illegal. Oh, but there weren't any Republican to watch. Why? Why weren't they? That's where the testimonials come in, because you see all the abuses there were. You see all the antagonism that you guys have for 4 years. Now you guys come into this electoral process and you carry that antagonism. What are you, Republican? You're one of those MAGA people? You bring it into the electoral process. And that's your mistake and downfall, Democrat. And it will be your downfall. Because the rest of us Americans and some of you Democrats who have a pair are not going to put up with it. We're going to stand against it. Okay? And it's time for people to get ready to stand by what they believe. Okay? Because the left, you guys are doing your thing, right? You're going to stand up. You guys want to fight in the street, okay? Well, the right also has that. We also have the fortitude to come back with a reply, a response. Okay? So the people need to rise up against this obfuscation, against this cheating in the electoral process, against the deceit of the Democrat Party in these issues, to not say no, let's just keep it here, in these issues. None of you are standing up for what is right. I don't hear anyone standing up for what is right in this country, for doing the right thing that's according to the Constitution. Don't hear anything from the Democrats on this. They are staying quiet. Don't want to rock the boat. You want Biden as president. See that? You're slowing your country down the river just because you hate Trump. That's it. You hate a regular American to be president of the United States. You know, what is wrong with your folks? Let the man, he's winning the election, let him be the president. What is your problem? Let him be the president. He won the election. This election now, he would have won it if you guys didn't cheat. Now, it wasn't you, Democrat, but your leadership. Those guys over there trying to do their little shenanigans that you see here and steal this election. It's unconscionable and it's un-American. And that's the thing I need you guys to realize and admit. That is un-American. How about if those Republicans doing that? What would you say then? So that we make sure Trump gets in again. What would you feel if we were stacking the cards against Biden? We didn't do that. It can't be okay. The wrong because you want the outcome. So because you want the outcome, it's okay to do the wrong. That's the Democratic mindset. No matter the means, as long as we get to the end. That's the DNC's mentality. Okay? But this activity, this past election, is rift with illegal activity, is rift with fraud, and somebody in this country, because we get the courts, apparently are politicized. The judges who are taking these complaints and taking these cases, they are politicizing, they're bringing in their personal views in their decision making, which is the judge is the judge, he's a human being. So he leans a little to the left, he's gonna have more resistance to entertaining anything from the right. That's a fact. And same thing with the judges on the right who will have resistance to things on the left. Right? There are a few judges because it takes more mental capacity. See, you can tell a person that is intelligent when they have what you call tolerance. And when you have judicial tolerance and you're able to take either side and treat it fairly and give it a fair day and a hearing, then that makes you an intelligent justice. More so than the regular thingamajigger or whatever you call them, the run-of-the-mill, who are either left or they're right. It's ridiculous. There can be no justice here like this. Okay? So first of all, and this is not the first time, listen, if this was the first time this type of thing was going on, okay, all right, so we don't know anything about it, so they did it to us, and they tricked us this time. No. The problem is here that this has been done before, okay? This has been done before in all these other countries that have shifted from one form of government into another, okay? It's a slow process. It's using a lot of propaganda, okay? And then it's raising up a new generation of kids, of youth, who have their minds changed and impacted by their teachers, those who were into that belief system, and then they go into the schools. This is planned. This is a programmed strategy of teaching kids. You know who started that? But so that you guys understand and get an education for yourself. That was started by the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church. Because when Protestantism almost dismantled the Roman Catholic Church, the great Jesuits, I think it was Loyola, the head of the Jesuit order, or the one who started it, in fact, he came up with the idea to open schools, to develop schools, centers for learning, to indoctrinate children, to get them into the church, and to restore the church's strength by educating a new generation of Catholics. And that's what they did. They were successful. It works. So now these guys, these political planners out there, they have come up with the idea long before to go and to educate the kids in a liberal mindset. Purposely infiltrating into the schools, becoming teachers, becoming principals, and then hiring similarly minded teachers to then start a new generation of like thinkers, and that's what they've done. And they've done this at the college level, because I was in college when they did this. So I know, I can see it. The college professors slowly and surely were becoming more and more liberal, especially in the liberal cities. They taking the deanships of the departments, and they're the ones who pretty much manage what the curriculum is, the philosophy in the curriculum, and the hiring of the colleges. So in terms of who they want as a teacher in their department, and who they're going to promote, who they're going to praise, who they're going to, give recognition to, etc., etc. So this is what's been going on. And it's been going down into the elementary schools. And now you have a generation that is totally liberal leaning. And that now has become, they will become future teachers, they will become future lawyers, who will then become future judges. See that? And so that is what you have happening now. You have a slow takeover. It's taken a generation, 2 to 3 generations, because this is, you can start seeing some of this since the hippie movement, and you saw a lot of the infiltration, because this was started actually, during the world wars, when you had the communism and the socialism, with these people coming in, trying to infiltrate. They've been doing this for some time. So now we start seeing the fruits of all that effort, and they're still at it. I do know personally, that the Democratic and the Republican parties, there is a plan, there's groups of people who are disguising themselves as Democrat and are disguising themselves as Republicans in order to take over the party. They run, and those, as candidates, they get the support of the party because they can't win as independents or as whatever other socialist party candidate. They can't win. So they come into the mainstream party. Bernie Sanders. Why doesn't he run as a socialist party candidate? Because he has no chance of winning. He had a chance of winning as a Democrat. You see that? If Bernie Sanders was allowed to by the DNC, he would have won. See, but they don't allow it because they can't, listen. The guys who are in control of DNC, they still want to make their money. But once those guys leave, and you get someone who craftily has moved into the DNC power line to actually allow a Bernie Sanders to go through without being manipulated by primary election, then you're done. You're done. Same thing with the Republican Party, unfortunately. Same thing is happening. I know firsthand. They are infiltrating the Republican Party, okay, to run their candidates. So, in other words, no matter Democrat or Republican, no matter what party you're in, okay, their plan is to have their candidate win either way. So you have to understand that. This country's being taken over. It's a coup. It's a philosophical coup. It doesn't matter. Republicans, you have to stop. People will have to stop now with this Republican and Democrat thing. That they're using this to fool you. Because it's going to come to a day is coming, where whichever candidate, the Democrat candidate or the Republican candidate, whichever one, is the same thing. That's what's coming down in the future. They will eventually be able to run somebody on each party ticket that is one of their own. So no matter what America chooses, Republican, the other one Democrat, you still sow the country down the tubes. And that's what they're planning. That's what they're already doing. That's why you see certain like Republicans who are not all in favor of Trump. Okay? That's why. You don't have any issues in the Democrat side. Notice that. But you have them on the Republican side. You have people who don't run Trump. Those Republicans, you have to question. You have to question, who are they really? Who are they really? And there's a lot of dissension in the Republican Party. Like I said, because the game is up. This game is on. They are trying to take over both parties. The Democrat side you're going to be unawares, because the Democrat side is aligning itself more and more with the liberal socialist perspective. So soon, you will not be able to distinguish between, a conservative Democrat, for example, of today, and the Socialist Party of today in the future. You won't be able to tell the difference. They're sure they'll have the Socialist Party just to say, no, the Socialists are here. But that's a lot of malarkey. The Socialists are in the Democrat Party. And they'll probably be the presidential candidate one of these days. Not to say that Biden is winning. Like I say, Biden is a puppet. Biden is the shell of his former self. It is sad to watch it. It's sad to see it. And in this issue of this election, this fraudulent election, he is a puppet. And like I said, if he has any spine left in him, he should just stick it to this whole issue and just concede, just for the sake of saying, F you Democrats who screwed up my election chances. That's, if you had, it's like Bernie. Why does Bernie continue with the Democrat Party? It's like what I tell you, that's because he has a bigger agenda in mind. That's why. He's compromised. And you can see it clearly. Because if you had, you had a pair, who would run again as a Democrat? They screwed you the first time with Hillary. You're going to do it again? And he did it again. But why does he do it again? These guys are from the old days. I'm not that old as Bernie, but I grew up in some of that time. He's compromised. I can see it. Okay? That's why he ran again. Instead of running as an independent, at least. If he didn't want to run as the socialist that he is. But you see, that shows you the game that's afoot. Okay? The game is a takeover of the United States, no matter which party, Democrat or Republican, by the socialist philosophy, by a foreign enemy. That is already going on. And so part of that process, as we already discussed the educational, the preparation of the generations so that they can be more amenable when this changeover happens. We talked about the legal division, the courts, how they are leaning also to the left, and they will be more favorable for changes in society, to force society to be re-educated slowly but surely. And then what's left of the politicians, the major parties, which to make them less American and more progressive, that's all just talking about it, just pointing towards taking over this country, changing it to something else. But God forbid that the United States of America continues as the United States of America. God forbid. That is what's running. That's what's going on. And most of you Democrats, I say Democrats, you know why? Because actually You have the most power right now to put an end, to put a stop to us losing what we know of as the United States of America. And that line right there is appealing to a lot of you who have been brainwashed and who share the sentiment that the USA shouldn't continue as it is. See, that sentiment that you have is anti-American. We have to slap you in the face. Wake up. Hello? You're destroying what made this country, period. So you wanna start another country. Is that correct? Because you haven't realized that's what you're thinking. But your thinking produces a different country. Then go west and create another country. Matter of fact, California, for all respect to all the Republicans out there, but California's been thinking about secession for a long time. Secession would be, create their own country, California, right? Because they're so different-minded over there, sold out to that left perspective, that they might as well be a different country. We act and live like we're in a different country already. Okay? So that is what's happening. If you want California, you want all the United States to be California, you're dealing with a different country. And that's the point. Okay? These are the United States. If you wanted to change the country, change the name. Do something else, get some land, make it autonomous like these guys do over there in Washington or wherever, over there on the West Coast over there, Seattle, wherever, and make yourself an autonomous zone and name your country. Give it a name. Get your own John Hancock and write a new constitution for yourselves. At least come out with it, man. Have the balls to come out with it and do it, you traitor. You're traitors to the United States. Leave. Fraudulent election. Get this thing fixed. No one, even Democrats, because I know a lot of you out there, you're good people. I know you're real with you. I know you're friends. Democrat, good folks. But unfortunately, you don't look at the details. That I also know, because I grew up with y'all. You don't look at the details. You don't analyze it. You don't weigh the details. There's weights to be applied. There are priorities to be had. And in this election process, the priority is the Constitution. It was always that. But you've been duped into thinking about other things, like your own interests. You justify the murderer because he kills for his own interest. You justify the thief because he robs and steals for his own interest. You justify the rapist because he rapes for his own interest. Question hallelujah. If, as Donald Trump claims, his actions are not about his loss, but about ensuring the integrity of future elections, why is he only investigating states where he lost? Well, Andrew, with all due respect, so have you been looking at the evidence? Do you understand how the Electoral College works? Because the Democrats learned the lesson in 2016. You have to understand. 2016, the Democrats were wondering, well, how did Trump win if we had the popular vote? The popular vote, and you had Hillary said we had the popular vote. Hillary knows. You see, Hillary knows. She's been in government for a long time. Biden knows too. It's not about the popular vote. It's about the Electoral College. And the thing about the Electoral College is that it's determined by the state. And the state makes the determination by certain counties that swing the vote. That's why they call it swing states. They swing the vote. The swing states swing it for the nation, but within a state there are counties, election boards. The county has an election board, you see. The election board either has Republican or Democrats running it. So if the election board of the more populist or populated counties are Democrat, or if they make the votes go Democrat, then the state is overcome by those particular areas because it becomes more of a weighted election. Same thing would happen here in Florida. Florida is largely Republican except for Miami, the southeast coast of Florida, Orlando, Osceola County in particular, Tallahassee, Jacksonville. Jacksonville is what I was thinking about. So these areas of high Democrat population, okay, can compete with the rest of the state, which is all red. But they can actually make the flip over if there's enough in those counties, enough counties to counteract the red ones. So you don't need widespread. You hear that term, you have to be careful because even the Attorney General Barr talked about widespread. You see, you have to understand what widespread means. It means that in all of Florida, we don't see widespread cheating. You don't need it to win Florida. You just need to cheat in Miami, in Jacksonville, in Osceola County, and a few other counties in Florida. You don't need the whole thing. You need to cheat, or you need to have an overly large vote for one candidate over the other in certain counties. And that is where they failed in 2016. And that is where they cheated now. Even Obama, when you look at, you can see the news. Go back and look at them. Look at the videos during the election. And the news reporters, when they made the comparisons between 2016, right? Obama, and then they made the comparison with Hillary. Look at that, because that tells you. You had Hillary versus Obama. Obama did way better than Hillary. He did way better than Hillary. But then look at Biden, this election, Biden. It is incredibly impossible. You guys are trying to say that Biden did better than Obama, because that's what the numbers are showing. Biden did far better than Obama. How is that possible? Than Obama's second term. He was the most popular president. Were you going to tell me? Even I had no problem with Obama. I had few criticism on the way he did things, but I was happy. Obama, great, for the first black president, supposedly. It doesn't matter to me. It was a great thing for the country. Biden? No. All right, but anyway, forget that. Again, that goes into opinion, right? But the facts are too great to ignore. It's too great to ignore that. So that's the reason. The reason is that it's not because he's not contesting the election in areas where he won. That seems to mean that there's nothing wrong. No, that's not the point. The point is that you don't need to cheat in all the areas. So therefore, as I was saying, there's no need for widespread anything. When Attorney General Barr said there's no evidence of widespread cheating, he's right. But then, when you look at the numbers, you can see that there is. And then the news reporters, when they made the comparisons between 2016 and 2016, right? Obama, and then they made the comparison with Hillary. Were you going to tell me? I had no problem with Obama. I had few criticism on the way he did things, but Biden? No. But the widespread cheating is not needed for you to gain the electoral college in the state. All you need is a key districts, key counties. And then you affect the electoral college. In other words, you affect the state saying that Donald Trump or Biden won our electoral votes. That's what the game is about. So that's all that is happening right now. And so obviously, when you make the comparisons on those counties alone, you see the irregularities. There's no way in hell. No way in hell. Listen, they're hardly getting through with this. They're hardly being able to get away with it now. You know, right? Because the numbers don't match. We can see that there's something wrong here. Something's funny. Okay? Imagine if they would have taken a totally Republican district and done the same. You understand? It would be totally obvious. That would have been totally obvious. And basically, at this point in time, impossible for them to do. But it was possible because in those other districts, remember, Republicans control. So they control the electoral board. They're the officials. So they couldn't get away with it. But in the places where Democrats are the officials, So that's the reason. These are Democrat-controlled areas. Unfortunately, the system, one of the recommendations that I have personally, is that system be done away with. It shouldn't be Republican or Democrat-run elections in any place. And because of the thing I was talking about before, which I don't know if you were here when I was speaking about the silent takeover of the Republican and Democrat parties. So we need to get rid of the system where in a county it's either Republican or it's a Democrat focused officials on there. There should always be Republicans checking and Democrats checking, but the officials, the people running, how can we do that? Something has to be done to make that overview, that oversight, nonpartisan. It's because that's the only way, the easiest way right now to prevent cheating. To prevent cheating outside of going back to paper ballots, as Sidney Powell, I think that's her name, suggested, paper and fingerprints, that's it. FBI uses fingerprints, and that would eliminate this issue. Why aren't there, take your ballot, your vote, and then your fingerprint? That's it. It goes right to the FBI. And that's something that can be checked and verified. It would be easy now to verify the vote. And not easy for the FBI. It's a lot of work, but still, for that the government gives money and get that done. Every 4 years, the FBI has to confirm the votes by fingerprint. That's that. So again, but who would protest that? Republicans? No. The liberals. And you saw, if you were looking at the hearings, which you should, I invite you to, if you have some time, because I know you guys are busy, but if you have time, look at the hearings. And you hear the Democrat politicians there, state legislature, you hear the Democrats say, I always vote without any ID. See, it's always them. They're the ones who vote without any ID. Why does a senator of a state need to vote without ID? Why would that be something that, you see how it's so dishonest? He wants to do that because he wants to promote that. And they want to promote that line because that's how you can cheat. Now, I had run a campaign in New York, Democrat City. I was running a Republican campaign in New York. You see, in Queens, which is the Democrat capital of New York, okay? These guys, listen, I'm not new to this. So I know how they control the electoral process in their areas, okay? So I know that I have a long history having to deal with that. That's why I'm saying the things I'm saying. I know things that other people are not aware of. So again, the Democrats, they have their expertise in controlling elections in small areas, and they're now going bigger and better. But this time, you're dealing with something that's very serious, and it's not going to work out too well. There are going to be repercussions of this, at minimum. Sad to say, but if this election is allowed to stand as it is right now, this is going to not be a happy place. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to be a fun place. And depending on what other countries do at this point, in the next 4 years, I'm assuming that if Trump isn't allowed to have the win, which he, by the numbers, would have, except for these mysterious pumps in Democrat votes for Biden, we're going to have a very serious problem in this country. And again, the problem here is within, and if we get hit from outside, no, that's not an issue of losing, brother. You have to listen to the broadcast from the beginning. But you're not understanding this. Both parties are being taken over. You don't understand that. You're part of the problem for the Democratic Party. Because you're not realizing that you guys are being taken over. You're promoting it. You're allowing it to happen because you're asleep, because you're not aware of what's going on. See, it's not about Democrat and versus Republican. I'm talking about the country. See, you come here saying you're lost. It's not an issue of losing or winning. I win. As long as the United States stays standing and defends its Constitution, I win. I don't lose. I don't know what you're talking about. See, but it shows that this is another person who's commenting on the video, on the broadcast, you are promoting this Republican and versus Democrat competition here. That's what's destroying this country. That's why we have the problem we're having right now. Because you're dividing this country. That's divisive. I'm talking about the Constitution of the United States. You know that piece of paper upon which this country stands. And the electoral process is an integral process that cannot be fooled with. Because then we lose it all is being lost. So if I lose, if what you're saying is true that I lost, then we have all lost. Because the only thing that I propose and support is the United States of America and the Constitution upon which we stand on that Constitution. That is what I am defending. You don't care if the rug gets pulled out from under you? We both lose. You and I don't want to lose the country. So be clear. You have to listen to the video from the beginning. Don't come to me with the presumption, this is another Republican. He's so angry at the result of I'm not angry at the result of the election. Like I said, I wasn't angry when Obama won. I was happy for the black American. If you ask the people around me, you would know that. I actually have therapeutic philosophy for the black American, and not like any of the blacks that I see talking and doing XYZ, which causing more damage to the black community. I actually have solutions for the black community, and when Obama became president, I was happy. I'm a Republican, but I was happy that Obama became president, and I was happy for all the black Americans, because now at least they can feel good and they can have hope for themselves, and then start a process of healing and getting their things together and move on and have advantage in this country like everyone else does. So what's 8 years? So I understand that. And now we're still with the divisiveness. Come on, it's getting silly. This little game that people want to play
The imagination, allow yourself to imagine that there's an issue between Democrat and Republican. The only issue here is people don't understand that what's at stake is the United States of America. Who cares about Republican or Democrat? If there's no United States of America, there ain't no Democrat or Republican. So that's the bottom line. So you have to understand here the Rosado. You have to understand where I'm coming from and why I say the things I say. But don't make assumptions. When you make assumptions, you make an ass of yourself, but not of me. You try to make it of me, but I make myself clear that what I'm talking about is saving the Union, saving the United States of America. Okay? Now, at one time, a Republican president had to make a tough call on how to save the Union. We are getting very, very, very close to a similar situation here because we have people who don't get it. It weighed heavy on Abraham Lincoln to have to do the Civil War. But why did he have to do the Civil War? Because some people didn't get it. All right? So you have to understand that what's going on now in the Civil War, they separated from the United States of America. You have to understand what was happening. A group of states divided from the United States of America, and they were willing to defend their division, their separation with force. So President Abraham Lincoln had to make a decision. He either had to sit down in the White House and say nothing and do nothing, and say, that's the result of the election. That's it. It's what the people want. The South wants to keep their slaves. The South wants to have their financial independence from the North. They don't want anything to do with Washington, D.C. So let's let it stand because that's the will of the people. All the people in the South want it. But Abraham Lincoln made a decision to preserve the United States of America. See, and that's at the end of the day, that is what is most important. You see? So he made a decision, and the rest is history. So I don't want to go back there. But the simple thing is that for you to say a list, because the issue here is there's so much fraud going on, and now we have video of it. There's so much fraud going on in the key strategic districts controlled by Democrats. You know, how can you even feel proud as a Democrat that your boy won? Come on. You're talking about me losing? You gotta be kidding. How can you say you won? It's cheating. It's called cheating. Unless cheating is honorable. Is cheating now an honorable thing? Yeah, so as long as your side wins, you don't care about how it happened. This is the problem. And this is the reason that Cuba became communist. Because most of the people who are, they're living their life, they don't want to be bothered. They don't get involved. They don't want to say anything. But the instigators, the ones who are in a competition between this and that, okay, they're the ones who then started to make the changes, to push it, to force it. And everyone else, knowing that everyone else will just stay quiet. That's what Fidel Castro did. That's what he bet his revolution on, that everyone else would stay quiet. And after he took over, then he started to indoctrinate the kids. See, that's what you have in Cuba, indoctrinated population, indoctrinated by Fidel. But that's why you have the old guys in Miami, the guys who used to be in Cuba or have to leave. They know the truth. They know the reality. Okay? So again, Listen, we got to talk truthfully here. These guys start with this, he won, he lost, whatever. Come on now. This is about the United States of America. This is about fraudulent election. This is about machines and software created by people in another country who had it used. It's fact, they used it to keep that guy in control in Venezuela. It's been used. This is not made up stuff. This is fact. And now this machine somehow has gone over into our elections by 2020. How fortunate. Right? So you're saying that you guys lost. Come on. This is not a fair election. This was not a fair election by a mile. Okay? All right, so that's right. But at least I'm not crying like you guys did in 2016. We're not crying. We're going to straighten this thing out. The one thing, we cannot let illegal activity. I will not defend illegal activity by no party at all. If this had been done by the Republican, I would be here this morning giving them hell, because again, the premise here is that both parties, and I opened the show with both parties are being taken over, not just the Democrat. Social Republican, I let them have it, and I have in my videos, okay, because I know what's happening in the background. See, I know it. So since I don't know who, I let them all have it. All right? Again, it's like when I talk about the Bible. It doesn't matter the church you go to. It doesn't matter the faith you have. God says in His Word X, Y, Z. And so again, that is the standard. It's not an issue that I'm not in your church, or I'm against your church, or I preach or teach something different. This is what God says in His Word. Look at it. And 2 + 2 = 4, just so that we can check that we're thinking here. See? So that is, hey, listen, if your church has the truth, I want to hear about it. Come on, because I search for truth. I accept the truth. But do not look at me and say, oh, this guy is this church guy, and he's from that faith, and that's all. No. That is not me. Do not get confused. If you have the truth, and you're showing it to me, I can accept truth. Because the truth cannot, or will always overpower and overcome falsehood. The light, you turn on the light, the darkness goes away, period. I have a very clear perspective of what to do. I don't need to be in my church. I don't need to be espousing what I espouse, but I need the truth. Okay? So if you have the truth, something else that I have not seen as the truth, and you can bring that to me, I will be glad to see. I can tell when the light is on. I don't have a problem. I do not have a problem going towards the truth and seeking the truth. And forgive me, let me put some AC on. Not AC, but a little fan here I have under the table, sir, because there's a lot of air. Some of you saw a lot of hot air coming out of that tub. But in any case, see, I'm truthful. I'm frank with you guys. So understand me. You have to understand me. If I had seen any saving grace in the Democrat perspective, I would be your staunchest Democrat. I would be doing Democrat shows left and right. I was raised in a Democrat home, for goodness sakes. So the battles we would have. Okay, so basically, listen. We saw the video. If you came in late, you didn't see the video. We showed the video of another instance of fraudulent election practice. With all the stuff that I have seen, and I've been watching the hearings in each state, because I have time like that, right? Especially for this type of thing. Otherwise, I'm doing software and other business activities. But I do make time to hear and search out the truth. Like I said, that's a priority. So I hear these hearings from beginning to end. And what I have seen so far is evidence. And I'm not going to say overwhelming evidence as the Democrats say it, because I have another video talking about overwhelming. I don't need to say overwhelming. It is evidence that this election is fraudulent. In those particular counties, and those counties are the only ones needed, really, to overturn the rest of the states to have an outcome that was preferred by the Democrat Party, or the Socialist Party for that matter. Enough evidence. Proof. That's it. I don't care if a left-leaning judge, obviously by the ruling they give, throws something out of court or whatnot, doesn't matter, because this type of issue, the electoral process, is not an issue of the courts. The courts, it can be brought to the court, but in the final analysis, this thing is determined by the state legislature. The state legislature is the law. As I explained to some people before on Facebook. They are the law. They establish the law. Matter of fact, the court determines the law determines their decisions based on the law that was written by the state legislature. That's where they base their decision. Okay? So who has the power, the courts or the legislature? You see that? Because who gives the state legislature the authority, the power? Guess what? The Constitution, my brother. The Constitution is what gives them the power. It doesn't give the court the power, it gives the state legislature the power. So all this baloney about this court threw it out, that court threw that out, this and that, this is all baloney. Because at the end of the day, the state legislature is more powerful than the court. Because they're the ones that write the law, and they can change the law. The court has nothing to do with it. And if the state legislature changes the law or enforces the law, the court can say nothing about it. The court can make a determination, but the state legislature can just simply restate the law and reaffirm the law. That's it. Because the law is established by the state legislature, not the court. You understand? You have to understand that. That's why cases go to the Supreme Court. Because obviously, why was there a system of Supreme Courts? Because there was always the possibility that lower court judges would be making the wrong decision based on whatever. Dementia, diabetes, a fight with the wife, divorce. They're losing their mind. They're Democrat, they're Republican, they're communist, whatever. And so that's why it goes up to the appeal court. And then the appeal court does what they do, and if the plaintiff still seeks remedy, it gets presented up to the Supreme Court if they take it or not. And if they take it, because they take cases where they see that something is wrong. There is a situation here that is potentially wrong, and also maybe even widespread. So then the Supreme Court will take a case and adjudicate it. But what do they usually do? What does the Supreme Court usually do? They send it back. See, they say, okay, we don't agree with this. I think that was a bad decision. We're sending this back, essentially, for you guys to correct this mistake. See that? That's what the Supreme Court does. It basically tells the lower court, out of respect, this is not what the Constitution approves of. You're doing something even within your state that your state doesn't approve of. So go back, do your homework, look at the state law, state legislature, remember, the constitution of each state, and then change this accordingly, because this is not good. Okay, that's it. That's what happened with the church thing in New York, the Archdiocese, Roman Catholic Church, right? Fought against the Cuomo, the shutdown, the closure of churches for the COVID thing, and the Catholic Church won. The state cannot limit church attendance. Okay? And now even that has been now being used in other states to also allow the other churches in other states to go against the politicians and whoever else setting a restriction against church assembly. See? That's how things work. It's the state legislature and the Supreme Court that make sure that every lower court and everyone else is abiding by the Constitution of the United States. Okay, so that's where it ends. That's where the game ends, right there, Supreme Court. But the game doesn't need to go there. That's my point. The game can just go with the Senate. The state senators, the state representatives, and the state legislature, because the final analysis is they have the maximum power in their respective states to enforce the law, and part of those laws are the election law. It's really the state legislature that has the power to determine who won the election. They're the ones. The only reason you have these electoral offices and officials is because the state legislature gives them authority. The state legislature has organized their state. So if you look at your state laws, for example, here we go, class of law. Again, like I said, I'm not talking out of having an opinion. I'm talking about things I know. Every state has their laws. And those laws are based on the state's constitution. So the laws are established by the legislature. And if you look at the state laws, you will see that they have laws governing every single possible thing in the state. The corporation, business, health systems, higher education and education in total, even religious things, religious freedom things within the state. That's what people don't understand, that the state legislature is the only one in the state with power, with true power. Okay, they're the ones that give that for the sake of order and organization and efficiency. They create the offices, the governor, this and that, this office, that office, controller, attorney general, this and that. These things are set by the state legislature. The electoral process, the way the elections will be run, the way they are to be counted, the votes, the recourse, and this and that, all of that is set by the only authority, true authority in the state, which is the state legislature. Okay? So you have to, when you look at the state law, you can look at it online, go, and you'll see everything in the state law, all of that, because it talks about the office of governor. The governor of the state is regulated by the state legislature. They have the maximum power, and they are the ones that the federal government deals with, the legislature. They're the ones who set the rules in their state. See? Again, the power of the people, the representation of the people is in your state legislature. That's where you have your maximum power. Your maximum effect is in voting for your state representatives. Because they determine every single piece of law that affects your life in your state. Okay? So it's not the courts, it's the state legislature. It's not the election officials, it's the state legislature. They're the ones that have the control. They have the authority. Okay? So again, there is no, and a lot of people don't realize this, that the state legislature is the one that votes for the president, because they're the ones who elect the electors. They decide who the electors are going to be. Are they going to be voting for a Republican, or are they going to be voting for Democrat? Or whatever, Communist Party. Okay, if that should ever happen in a communist state. But the state legislature is actually the one. So you are voting your vote, let's put it this way, your real vote is in the state legislature, the state legislators. Because at the end of the day, it's not even what goes on the election day that will determine who your state votes for. It's who you voted for in your state legislature. And that determines who's going to do the way the vote's going for in the White House. So we have to understand that. It's a representative government. Your vote is for representation. And so the most powerful time for you to vote is actually when you're voting for state representatives. Because they're the ones with the true power in your state that affects even the election on the federal level. So that is something for you guys to realize and to think about. So in any case, this is what's at hand. I mean, I'm just saying that what the state legislatures have to think about now is what is their responsibility when the people they put in charge of the electoral process in their state are obviously invalidating the election. What's going to happen? Well, they have to take their power back. The state legislature has to retain their authority and say, wait a minute, you guys are doing something wrong. It's going to take a couple of years to get this straightened out, but right now, we're taking back our authority to determine who won this election, and by the facts that until you guys started doing your malfeasance, Trump was winning by a landslide. That is what we're going to do. And the state legislature can save the election and be the first process, the first level of saving this country by taking their responsibility invested in them by the people of their state in determining the winner of this election, who truly won this election without the fraud. And if they do that, then we can say, this is the president, let's fix this problem now in the time we have before the next presidential election, or even before any other election, truthfully, should be done. And let's ensure that from now on, this election process is transparent and also tamper-proof. And so really, that's the only thing that's going to save this republic from being divided in a division that will only result in an eventual civil unrest Because the Democrats are going to take it, and the Republicans, we are not going to sit back and do nothing. That's the problem. We're not going to sit back and do nothing. Okay, you see a lot of passion here. I am nothing compared to other Republicans out there who are willing to do 1,000 times more than what I'm able to do. Simply. And I envy them. I envy them, truly, to be a hero for this country, for the Constitution, for the United States of America. So that we can have decent elections between Republican and Democrat. And then, hey, you lost. All right, okay, I lost this time, but we're coming back in 4 years. That's fine. But not like this, folks. No, not like this. This has to end. It has to stop. We've had enough of all the BS, an idiot this, an idiot that, this. Again, why are you cheating? Do smart people have to cheat against an idiot? Come on now. Come on, stop it. Stop it. Admit it. Admit it that you couldn't win against the idiot. Okay? And you couldn't win unless you cheated. And that's what we see. That's the evidence that we're seeing and that we're hearing. But this is more than that. This is my point. Okay? For me, it's a settled matter already. Okay? But the danger here is that you guys do not see beyond what's going on. There's a reason for this. And it isn't Trump, man. It isn't Trump. There's something else going on. And that's what needs to get down to the bottom. We need to get down to the bottom of that. You see, my voice is already giving, I reach my max. But that's why I'm glad that Attorney General Barr has assigned special counsel powers to this other attorney. I forget his name. Anyway, I'll get it. Special. Let me find it, because I hate doing this, and I'm having my Biden moment right now. Okay, so let me go into news. Because I've never, in all my news analysis, I've never done a video on this fellow here. Let's see how. Durham, right. So, making Durham special counsel. You see that? Now look at how the news is spinning. If you want to see this, this is hilarious. Do I have this here? Where is that? Oh yeah, okay, all I have to do is bring it up. So, let's look at this for a second. Look at this for a second here. Let me blow this up. Yeah. By making Durham special counsel, AG Barr spares Biden tough choices. You see that? The tough choices is what? It's the thing that's going to bring a lot of his supporters down in terms of the politicals. And here it says Trump calls on Barr to appoint a special prosecutor to investigate. No, that was something else. Barr assigns U.S. attorney in Connecticut to review origins of the Russia inquiry. And I wouldn't be surprised before the end of their term, if that's going to be. Throat time. I wouldn't be surprised if A.G. Barr, and now I'm talking in opinion and without having more knowledge, But I'm going out on the limb here and saying that, but I wouldn't be surprised in either case. I'm not saying it can't happen. If A.G. Barr makes another special counsel appointment before January 20th, okay? I wouldn't be surprised, and it would be, it's almost called, sometimes, I'm sorry, is it like too loud that it breaks up? Because I do notice that the mic, it may not be using the right mic. Let me just check on that. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, it is using the right mic, but again, the battery may be dying on it, or something else like that. So I'm sorry about that. You may want to adjust your volume. And maybe, I think it's the web. No, it isn't. It's actually this mic. I'll show you. This mic here. And the only thing wrong with it is that it is still green. See that? But what I'm noticing is that it is peaking. It's peaking highly. So I'm trying to make it lower like this. But, I don't like low videos. And so one thing I try to avoid is having videos where the volume is too low and I have to bump up the volumes. What I noticed, because some people are watching the other videos and they're high, and then they go watch your video, and it causes issues with that. But I'm sorry that you're having that issue. I'll try to lower it. I think it's an issue of peaking, and also my voice. My voice is raspy right now. Yeah, and the humming is because I have the fan on here also. There's other noises affecting the studio sound, so I'm sorry about that as well. Yeah, and I don't listen to it. So I'll be reviewing the video after, and I'll try to determine what that issue is. But thank you for pointing that out. And I appreciate you guys coming in to hear my rant this morning. But please consider the things I'm saying. I don't expect AG to make another appointment for special counsel, but I wouldn't be surprised. And I think it will thrill me to no end that even though now getting political, now I will allow myself as I end the show to become more political in terms of Republican versus Democrat. It's just sweet. If any of you guys ever played Call of Duty, I think one of the most interesting little, what do you call those add-ons? What do you call those? I obviously I didn't play Call of Duty to any length. Very short, brief moments I played it, and that was it. But they have these little perks or something that you win. They're like bonuses or little powers that you get, little abilities. And the one that when someone kills you, right, you still have like a grenade in your hand. And you blow up, and the other guy who killed you, because usually when you kill somebody, you go to them, or you go near them, and then boom, they get it too. So it's kind of like the last survivor. Even in World of Warships, there is a flag that you can get. I believe that it gives you survivor some last. If someone sinks you, you're able to do something, to give them a remembrance of you, or something like that makes that person also suffer damage or gets shot or gets blown up as well. Something like that. I find that this is what's going on. And even with the Durham appointment, A.G. Barr is leaving the grenade without the ring in it for the Biden administration. So listen, and that's nasty politics. I will grant you that. I'm going to grant you that. Yeah, it's my voice. Again, it's raspy already. I hear it myself. that's my voice. I have my throat is sore for talking already now for how long has it been? Almost 2 hours. This is my limit before I start losing quality in my voice. So yeah, so he's going to leave the bomb, the stink bomb, if you will, in the Biden administration. This is just. It's called like what do you call it? It's not divine justice, but it's like Trump justice still lingering. Trump is going to linger in any way, and A.G. Barr just gave him did a big thing to maintain Trump in the Biden administration through the special counsel. And leaving this watchdog in there to hound the Biden administration if that's the way it's going to go. So simply, they do not have enough time, apparently, or some other strategies. I always think that these are strategies. I don't think they're failures in administration. Some people criticize Attorney General Barr for the way he is. But actually, I like what he does. He plays a very shrewd game, okay? As a professional, he's very shrewd, right? And that's what you see in A.G. Barr. He's not coming out to Trump's defense. He's not saying there's widespread fraud, because there isn't. There doesn't need to be, but he comes out and said there's no evidence of widespread fraud. You know, when he said that, I immediately thought, oh, my friend, what are you devising? It came to me immediately. For him to come out and say, oh, there's no evidence of widespread fraud, you know, I said to him, you guys better run. Because, you know, for me, the first thing you got to do when you're going to go after people, you know what you do? Is you say nothing. You say, no, everything's okay. I see no evidence of this. Calm down, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right, A.G. Barr. There's nothing here. I said, I don't see any evidence of this. Barr, he's shrewd. He is shrewd. Okay? Calm down and watch. Okay, so anyway, A.G. Barr, I think that move was spectacular. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if he does another. I wouldn't be surprised. But even just with this one, I think that is big, big, big. Just with this one alone. Okay, so that's it for my live today. We're going into take a break. I'm going to end the broadcast, and we'll start again with our regular Friday theme and regularly scheduled recorded shows for Friday, which are basically pay for itself type of things, projects that we have. And so you can tune in later and see what things we have there. Otherwise, have a great day. Thanks for coming in, sharing, and your opinion. They're highly valued. Follow, share, like, do whatever you like. I'm going to review this video for sound quality as well as for other tidbits, and to share it and otherwise as its own video on social media. So until next time, and until this election is finally determined one way or another, and hopefully at the end the United States and its Constitution is preserved. This is Reverend Dr. Rosado saying farewell. Thank you for watching, and join us a little bit later as we do our regular broadcast day. Thank you very much.